You're smart. You know what you should be doing. So why aren't you doing it? The answer isn't about intelligence. It's about psychology. Today we're talking about something I think a lot of you secretly struggle with. You know you're capable of more, but somehow you're not reaching your potential. And the frustrating part? You can see exactly what's holding you back. You just can't seem to fix it. Here's what we're covering: the psychological patterns that trap intelligent people, why knowing better doesn't mean doing better, and what actually works to break through. Because here's the truth: smart people don't fail because they're not capable. They fail for very specific psychological reasons. Let's break them down. Okay, so first, let's talk about something called the intelligence trap. When you're smart, you're used to things coming easily. School was probably manageable without much effort. You could figure things out quickly. People told you that you were gifted. And this creates a hidden problem. You start to tie your identity to being smart. Your self-worth becomes connected to always knowing the answer, always being right, always performing well. So when you encounter something difficult, something where you might fail or look stupid, your brain treats it as a threat to your identity. Psychologist Carol Dweck calls this a fixed mindset. You believe intelligence is something you either have or don't have. So challenges feel threatening instead of interesting. People with a growth mindset see challenges differently. They think intelligence is something you build. So struggling just means you're learning. But here's what happens when you have a fixed mindset. You start avoiding challenges. Not consciously, but you procrastinate on big projects. You don't apply for that job. You don't start that business. Because deep down, you're afraid of finding out you're not as capable as you thought. Smart people often fail because their intelligence becomes part of their identity, and they're more afraid of losing that identity than they are motivated to achieve their goals. Here's the second trap: you overthink everything. Smart people are good at seeing possibilities, analyzing options, anticipating problems. And that's valuable until it paralyzes you. You want to start a YouTube channel, but you're researching the perfect equipment. You want to change careers, but you're waiting until you know exactly what you want. You have an idea for a project, but you're planning every detail before you begin. This is called analysis paralysis. You're thinking instead of doing. And here's why this happens. Your brain is trying to eliminate uncertainty. If you can just figure everything out before you start, you won't fail. You won't make mistakes. You won't look foolish. But that's not how real progress works. There's a concept in psychology called the action confidence loop. Most people think confidence comes first, then action. But it's actually the opposite. You take action, you get a small win, that builds confidence, which leads to more action. Smart people wait for confidence. Successful people build it through action. The difference isn't intelligence, it's willingness to be bad at something at first. Let's talk about perfectionism, because this is a huge one for intelligent people. Perfectionism isn't about having high standards, it's about fear. You don't start because it won't be perfect. You don't finish because it's not good enough. You don't share your work because people might criticize it. And underneath all of that is a fear of judgment. If people see your imperfect work, they'll know you're not as capable as they thought. I see this constantly. Brilliant people with half-finished projects, unpublished writing, ideas they never execute, not because they can't do it, but because they're waiting for it to be perfect. But here's the reality. Nothing is perfect on the first try, or the fifth try. Mastery comes from iteration, from doing something imperfectly over and over until you get better. There's also something called imposter syndrome that smart people deal with. You achieve something, but you attribute it to luck or timing instead of your ability. So you never internalize your successes. This means no matter what you accomplish, you still feel like you're faking it. And that fear of being found out keeps you from taking bigger risks. The paradox is, the more capable you are, the more likely you are to doubt yourself. Okay, so after all of that, how do you actually break these patterns? First, separate your identity from your intelligence. You are not your achievements. You are not your productivity. You're a person who's learning and growing. When you fail at something, it doesn't mean you're not smart. It means you tried something difficult. Second, use the 2-minute rule. If you're overthinking something, commit to just 2 minutes of action. Not planning, action. Start the email. Write the first paragraph. Record 30 seconds of video. Almost always, starting is the hardest part. Once you're in motion, it's easier to keep going. Third, lower the stakes. Instead of trying to launch the perfect project, launch something small and imperfect. Call it an experiment. Give yourself permission to fail. The goal isn't perfection, it's learning. Every attempt teaches you something. Fourth, track action, not outcomes. Don't measure success by results you can't control. Measure it by actions you can. Did you show up? Did you do the work? Did you take a risk? That's success, regardless of the outcome. Here's what I want you to remember. Your potential isn't about how smart you are. It's about how willing you are to be uncomfortable. Smart people who reach their potential aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who fail more often because they're trying more things. They've made peace with being bad at something before they're good at it. The intelligence you have is a tool, but it's not the only tool you need. You also need courage, resilience, the ability to start before you're ready. And those things, you build them by doing, not by thinking. So here's my question. What's one thing you've been overthinking that you could just start today? Not perfectly, just start. Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear what you're working on. And if this resonated with you, subscribe for more psychology that helps you understand why you do what you do. Thanks for watching.